Welcome to this episode of Spacecraft Guide, the channel that describes how the most historic spacecraft work. In this episode of Spacecraft Guide, we are going to continue our work on the Lunar module and finish up the switch on this panel right here with the oxygen water quantity selector switch. When you click on that switch, monitor selector switch page for the environmental control subsystem. Now, as you can see, this switch, what it does is when you select it, it's for monitoring the quantity indications and quantities remaining in the descent or ascent oxygen and water storage tanks. Now, the caution warning reset, that when you put it into this position right here, it routes a signal to the caution warning alerts to extinguish the O2 caution light, water 2 caution light, or AGS warning light. So when that light is on in the panel, this will reset it. For descent, it's for the descent oxygen tank when it's in O2 quantity, and also for the water indicator. And then you notice there's two here, the Ascent 1 and the Ascent 2, oxygen tank number 1 pressure, and the water ascent tank is displayed. Now, let's go into why they have the caution warning and 2 ascent tanks. If we go down to the schematics, we'll see, let's move down up here, that here is the switch and here is the gauge. But here is the water quantity indicator. Now you see that we have the descent. The light comes on when there's less than 16% in the quantity. Now that is for the descent stage, which is right here. So when it's less than 16%, time to go home. Now if we look at for the ascent, that's a little different. It's less than full or unequal levels. Okay, so when we have less than full here for the ascent tank number 1 and number 2 water tanks, that means, well, it's time to go home. You're in the ascent stage, which means you've left the surface of the moon and you have less than full. Okay, so if you're on the ground and you have less than full, that is a problem. Or if you're on the surface of the moon or there's unequal levels, that means that, okay, you got a leak in one of them and you got to figure out which one, and then you have to determine if it's time to cut the mission short and get to the command module as quickly as possible. So that is why this switch is so important. That's all for this week. If you would like to use this interactive virtual reality exhibit on the command module, the lunar module, and the surface of the moon, just go to our Patreon page and the link will be down below.